Well, thank you very much to all of you participating in The Hague. Welcome here. I'd like to thank first and foremost Farah Karimi and the Dutch delegation for hosting us here. It's been a great endeavor since we started to develop this project, but I can see the final outcome is excellent, and I look forward also to the other part of the sessions and the events that you've organized in these evenings. So thank you very much for all the work that has been put here by you personally, Farah, but all the team and all the people who work behind the scenes. Also to Senator Roger Wicker and to Mark Weezy and the entire U.S. delegation, happy 4th of July. Thank you very much for being here. It's very important for us that you are here, also on this day. I know you should have been in your constituencies, but it's very important the message that you send by being present in this assembly, especially after a year where, unfortunately, you couldn't participate in some meetings. So I really express my personal gratitude for you. I would have said to this president, but it will relay to the president. Thank you very much to President Pons for his leadership. And I think from Porto to The Hague has been a very successful year, I think. A very successful year in terms of political aspects, in terms of finance and administration. Politically, I think we have managed to keep a very strong focus on Ukraine. I think our position on Ukraine are unwavering. I think that we have, ever since 2014, when Senator Cardin and the U.S. delegation promoted a supplementary items calling for clear, gross, uncorrected violation of the Helsinki Final Act by naming the country who made that aggression, the Russian Federation. I think we have been very, very firm and very, very central in the political debate on Ukraine. This has been proved also by the recent recognition that President Zelensky gave to our president, but to our assembly, the Medal of Honor for the work that we've done in Ukraine. We've been several times there with some of you. We've been very active. The president met twice Zelensky recently. Today afternoon, we will also have an address by President Zelensky online. So I think on the most, let's say, important political issue of the OSCE region, the OSCE Parliamentary Assembly has been very present, and I think I'm very proud of this work that we've done. I also would like to thank the President for appointing Karina over to the dossier of returning children. I think that we have paid attention also to specific aspects, the returning of children. Thank you, Karina, also for the work that you've done on this and for all the trip that you've undertaken in order to deal with this issue. And also to Dietrich from the Dutch delegation. The President has appointed a special person to deal with 3 OSCE employees. They are our colleagues. We are OSCE employees. Dima, Vadim, and the other one. But these 3 OSCE employees, anyway, they have been detained by the Russian Federation for many years, so I thank the work that has been done to look into their situation. Mr. President, you've also kept this assembly very busy on Central Asia. I think our regional outreach is very important. We've been to Kazakhstan on issues of climate change, met with the President of Kazakhstan, who, by the way, is the former Vice President of our Assembly, President Tokayev. I think that the work of our special representatives also in the region shows that our focus on regions brings the Assembly to the center of places where the OSCE should be. In the region, there are OSCE missions that work, so the presence of the OSCE also in supporting the work of the missions is very important. We've been present in the Caucasus, both with the visit that has been mentioned to Georgia, but also with a very important election observation mission recently in Armenia. In Southeast Europe, a region where OSCE is very present with the OSCE missions, our president has been there leading a delegation, especially to Bosnia-Herzegovina. We went to make an historical visit to Srebrenica. I was very impressed also by a sign that there is at the entrance of Srebrenica that says the shame of the international community. I think that for someone like me who has worked for 30 years in international organizations, the reminder that also those who do this job in international business like us should always have in mind that we have to keep our dignity very high and what we do does matter. On election observation missions, Mr. President, this has been a record year. I mean, the number of participants that comes with election observations is always now almost above 100. We only had these figures in the past in one mission in Ukraine and normally in the USA, but now almost every mission goes above 100 participants. So the mission in Ukraine, the mission in Hungary and Armenia were record high, and I thank also our election department for managing the deployment of so many parliamentarians. But first and foremost, I thank you for participating, dedicating time to these activities. Very important, your time. Mr. President, also you've had a strong focus on gender policies. You've made balanced appointments, both on election observations and on special representatives. And I think besides promoting gender policies, you also practiced it. So this is something that we should all take good example from. Also, you have had an important focus on plurality. We've seen the statistics that you've distributed. You can see from the statistics that are in your folders, there are many countries who have never had elected officials or never had leaders of election observation missions or being appointed to position of special representatives, while there are a few who have a strong concentration of mandates. So I think your idea, Mr. President, to enlarge and make sure that everyone, at least everyone in this composition, now we were talking today about other countries but, or other organizations, but at least within the 57 participating states to enlarge also the responsibilities, this is something that you should be commended for. So this on the political side, I said this was a very successful year. On the financial aspects, I think the news I have here is that 17 parliaments have decided independently to increase their contribution this year. Noting the financial realities that are hampering our work, a number of delegations have voluntarily committed extra budgetary contribution to support our work. Luxembourg parliaments, a significant extra budgetary support has enabled enhanced engagement in Southeastern Europe. I thank them as well as Switzerland and Norway for their additional extra budgetary support, and Estonia, Iceland, Latvia, Liechtenstein, Lithuania, and San Marino for voluntarily increasing their contribution to Euro 10,000 level, as well as Montenegro's commitment to additional funding for the School Dialogues Initiative. Of course, the Danish Parliament, which continues to be, in practical terms, as our host, the largest single contributor to the OSCE resources, and I reiterate our thanks for their continued support. Similarly, the Austrian government's support for our Vienna office, as well as Germany and Italy, support through secondments that are a major contribution to our collective work. So thank you very much to these 17 parliaments who have demonstrated their commitment to the OSCE by increasing their contributions. Also, I would like to thank 5 parliaments who have decided to host our upcoming meetings, and here Andorra, which will host our autumn meeting this year, as well as Serbia, Albania, and we'll soon hear also from the United States. There are some ideas, but I don't want to prevent the debate. But this is also a way to contribute to our finances by hosting events and contributing in hosting conferences. We do have one challenge in the finances, and you've all heard the report of our treasurer, and that's that one delegation, namely the Russian Federation, has not paid their contribution. I'd say luckily and smartly, to say to Gustavo and to those who have preceded me in this job, we have managed throughout the years to build reserves. So we've managed to build reserves that have allowed us to continue the activities. And Mr. President, I would like to also reiterate that you did say that the question of financial resources is fundamentally a political one. Investing in the assembly means investing in security through dialogue rather than weapons. Our resources must therefore reflect our ambitions, you say in your report. In response to this exceptional situation, the Secretariat has ensured continuity through cuts to administrative costs and measured use of reserves, as authorized by the political leadership. So while the Secretariat has exercised strict discipline over costs and delivery, but this should be understood as an adjustment, not as a path, but that we choose for the future. And I totally agree with you, Mr. President, that we cannot continue like this. The good news is that notwithstanding the missing contribution of 1 million euro, so the Russians have not paid 1 million euro, 1,093,000. So for 4 years, 250 is their contribution. So we have not received 1 million. We have withdrawn from the reserve only 500,000. So we did not receive 1 million. We have withdrawn from the reserves only 500,000. The rest, the other 500,000, has been financed with cuts, savings, and extra budget contributions. So this is, let's say, it's obviously not a permanent solution. We have to have a longer-term plan. But I think we have managed very well. So with a shortfall of 1 million, we've only taken 500,000 from the reserves, as, of course, it's ascertained by the auditor's report that was presented. Now, for the future, the treasurer that President Johan said, we cannot allow the Russian decision to interfere in the work of the Assembly for next year. The Assembly should not allow a single delegation to financially blackmail the organization and use funding as a political tool to bring disorder within the OSCE. When Russia doesn't pay their annual dues to the Assembly this year, the President and I have authorized the Secretary General, and this is how it is, obviously. Of course, I commit to only the President and the Treasurer, authorizing the Secretary General to finance some of the expenditures from the emergency reserves. And if the situation doesn't change in the next financial year, we will have to finance some of our expenditures from the emergency reserves once again. This is what the Treasurer suggested in the past. But I think now we have arrived to a point where we cannot continue like this. And of course, we have to find some solutions. And of course, by Andorra or by Vienna, I will also bring up some suggestions as it was requested here today. When I would look into suggestions, I mean, this is, of course, for the political leadership to decide on where you want to look into. But if you see a little bit what you mentioned today, the NATO Parliamentary Assembly, also what the EU, I mean, the policy has been, let's become, on the EU, we said we have to become energetically independent from Russia, so that we don't depend on Russian energy, so we beef up our energy and find alternative resources. I think also the NATO PA obviously is not made by Russia because they don't finance that budget, but they've increased by 10%, as you said, Mr. President. So I think we have to find a way so that we cannot be blackmailed, as the Treasurer said, by one participating state not paying its dues. Third point on administration, Mr. President. I'm very proud of the team that we have both in Copenhagen and Vienna. We are 25 professionals, 2 elected officials, 23 staff, totally gender balanced, who have delivered on so many activities. I think since 2023, it was mentioned also about greater transparency, we have, besides receiving always a positive audit from the financial point of view, in 2023, we felt the necessity to also have an audit also on the performance of the Secretariat. I agree with some of you that said, well, the performance of the Secretariat is discussed by the members because you are the, let's say, the customers of the work of the Secretariat. You are the ones who can tell whether our election observation, our meetings are professional, delivering on what you're expecting. But we asked also an external audit to do an ad hoc performance audit for the last 3 years, and I take note of Norway, who suggested that we should continue to do it also for the next year. We will certainly do that. And they were asked to monitor the adequacy and effectiveness of the international secretariat processes, benchmarking remuneration and benefits against market data for staff, compare remuneration against relevant public indexes, evaluate tax rules. I have 3 minutes. Okay, I will finish. Evaluate the management ability to budget and follow up on discrepancies, as well as assessing if current funding is adequate to fulfill Assembly goals, and cost savings, procurement practices. So this is the terms of reference that the auditor were given 3 years ago. They've done 3 audits in a row, and they have come up with a positive outcome, both on the financial and on the administrative audit. So for this, I'm very proud. I'm very proud of the fact that the Secretariat has delivered so well. And I conclude, Mr. President, by thanking all the members for your participation in all our meetings, and the staff and my colleagues, led by Gustavo, and the team in Vienna for delivering on all these tasks. Thank you very much.